I don't think anybody's written or done videos or talked about College Beach Weekend. Yeah, that's what they call Black College Beach Weekend in Virginia Beach. And no one's done more about the mayhem and destruction and violence than we have here. Even so, the people in Virginia Beach, they are in such denial about what's happening. I mean, every year it's the same thing, right? It's like, oh, we're not going to let that happen this year. Not on my watch. Not like last year, the year before. That's how it begins. Then in the middle of it, somebody's going, hey, there's something going on here. Then 2 days later, hey, how did we let all those black people destroy our city again? Then lather, rinse, repeat. So here's the latest in the cycle. So Black College Beach Week basically started last night, Friday night in Virginia Beach. Already we got somebody in the emergency room with a shooting. Lots of mayhem, lots of violence down there already. But the local newspaper, they kind of got it all figured out. They did a story, they did an editorial, which is where the editorials where all the great minds of the Virginia Pilot get together and they all sit around and they look at each other and they congratulate each other for their genius and they labor mightily and they bring forth editorials like this. I have to read you one or two paragraphs that somebody just finished sending me, so you know who you are, thanks. Here's their version of Black Beach Week. Remember, all this stuff's been going on since the 80s. It's all on video. The restaurant owners will tell you, the hotel owners tell you, the people who live there tell you, the people who work there will tell you all the same thing. But the paper somehow is the only institution in town that hasn't figured out what a complete mess this is. Let's read a couple seconds of this. Beginning Friday, if not before, the oceanfront will be awash with young people who descend on the resort area each year for what's known as College Beach Weekend. Primarily, these are students from historically black colleges and universities. But the weekend typically draws people from beyond that narrow demographic window. We have a term in the journalism racket for what they just said. Yeah, we call that lying your butt off. Okay? The only people who end up in Virginia Beach who are not white, who are white or Asian this weekend, is people who stumbled in there accidentally. And you can check some of these travel sites out, right? And they'll go, I went to Virginia Beach during Black Beach Weekend. It was crazy. I just stumbled on there by accident. Nobody told me what was going on. Anyway, the lying has just begun. The denial, deceit, and deception and delusion. There's more to come. However, says the editorial, there is a feeling in some corners that the attention being paid to College Beach Weekend and the notoriety it seems to engender would not be the same were it a predominantly white crowd flocking to the city each year. Okay, so if you guys watch this channel a lot, and if you read any of my books, this is the part where you have to give examples, or else people will just say, oh, Colin, you're just making that up. Colin, you're in denial, deceit, and delusion. You're just saying things you wish were true that are not true by any means. I mean, this is not rocket science. If I say the moon is made of green cheese, it would help if I could, bring back something from NASA, a big old bottle of green cheese. Absent that, we will not be eating any green cheese tonight. But there is no green cheese in this article. There are no examples. The article just leaves it there. We have to take their word for it that in their hypothetical fantasy world, white kids are doing it too. If they are, wouldn't it be the easiest thing in the world to show? Wouldn't it? I mean, we've done a story about white riots in colleges. I did a story about where the university president, the University of Delaware, had a conniption because a couple of thousand students were going to some MTV show where all the kids drink beer out of beer bongs or whatever they call them. And It was one of these things where lots of kids were there and they all left and they marched up the main street. Nothing happened. There were no broken windows, no gunfire. Nobody went to the hospital. I think somebody set a trash can on fire. And and my sources revealed to me here for the first time that they caught somebody peeing in the bushes. That's a white riot. And if you want to point to the Philadelphia Eagles football riot, hey Colin, white people do it too. Didn't you see the videos? Yeah, the videos I saw were mostly black people doing that crazy stuff. That's the one end. The other end is, at a minimum, those riots, whatever those riots were, whatever that disorder was, it was very diverse. And isn't it weird? These newspapers pay people who just fail thinking 101. They sit them in a room and they start writing this stuff. Doesn't make sense. Is not persuasive. But that's what they are paid to be. And after that happens, the next year, the year after that, the editors come out and go, man, we can't get anybody to read our paper. Those no good SOBs, they're just not interested in quality journalism anymore. That's how they roll. They ignore the news, they deny the news, then the readers figure that out. You don't really get a lot of chances to lose somebody's trust. When somebody reads that, when people in Virginia Beach read that editorial, they'll go, oh yeah, okay, I know what you are all about. You are all about denial, deceit, and delusion. I don't need to pay for a newspaper or spend any time with a paper that doesn't have the nerve or the intellectual stamina to tell me what's going on in Virginia Beach. So I'll just read the Drudge Report. Do you mind? But even as bad as this editorial was, as bad as the other coverage is there, and by the way, everybody's like, most of the other media outlets, local media outlets, are not any better. Boy, we really document this and don't make the black kids angry. Most of them are not any better. They just kind of pretty much pretend like, oh yeah, there's 40, 50,000 black people in town and they're ruining our town, they're destroying our town, they're fighting with our police, they're attacking police on video. But it's all one big fat coincidence. So now we come to this clown, David Strever. He writes for an outfit called, I don't even know what it's called. It's something called RV Mag or something like that. It's not about RVs. It's whatever the hell it's called. It's supposed to be a local alternative news source. Anyway, David Strever, when he's not writing about these kind of things, he's writing about bicycling, and he's very proud that he covered the Tour de France. So he's good at covering stuff from France, but here he did a 2,000-word story where he breathlessly talked to a DJ at one of the nightclubs, and he said, "Listen, I've been DJing here for 5 years. I've never even heard of a fight during College Beach weekend. Never even heard of one. And so the only reason anybody would react to this, the only reason anybody would be aware of it, the only reason that anybody would say, hey, there's something really strange going on in this beach town this weekend that doesn't happen in this beach town any other weekend. Something strange about that. Well, the only reason for that is racism, white racism, which of course is the reason for the enormous amount of black dysfunction in this country, which we see documented here every day. I'll tell you what, sometimes I'm not in a position where I can be as energetic and enthusiastic about staying on top of events like this. But if one of you guys, I'm going to post, as soon as I do it, I'm going to post this right away. If one of you guys are listening to this and reading it, go to the Broadcastify. See if it's called broadcastify.com. That's where you can listen to police frequencies in Virginia Beach. You just have to root around a little bit, boom. When I do it, I usually record them right on my computer. So keep an eye on Virginia Beach for me. Kind of tell me what you hear from police dispatch. And then we'll compare that with this alternative reality that the local press is trying to sell us completely at odds with all the video and eyewitness and police reports that we have, but completely in line with the main event, the main goal of city officials and reporters during Black College Beach Week. which is, of course, don't make the black kids angry.